27 years ago, id Software gave us Doom and changed the world of video games forever. It took id to show us how much fun it could be, to put us at one end of a shotgun and a bunch of ugly demons at the other end. And it showed us how much fun we could have circle strafing around a massive rocket-shooting cyber demon. And now, 27 years later, Doom Eternal is finally out, the much-awaited sequel to id Software's 2016 hit, Doom. And now, we all get to play it. Or at least, you do. First, I decided to subject myself to something far worse. The Doom tie-in books. Written and released in 1995 to popularize on the success of Doom, the Doom tie-in books are not very good. And I hear you ask, what can you expect? Doom never had a very complex story to begin with, just the odd text scroll in between murder rampages to make sure you hadn't gone off somewhere and to keep you interested. But they could have made something pretty cool. With the basic premise of hell invading Mars, you could have had a pretty cool sci-fi action epic. And to be fair, that's what the writer David Hugh tried to do. He tried to give us a couple of likable characters and people that we could root for during Hell's invasion. His biggest challenge, however, was taking the mute, characterless Doom guy, who in the games is basically just an unstoppable badass of epic proportions, and turning him into a character. And his answer to that is not a very good one. What we get is Corporal Flynn Taggart, described on the back of the book as the best warrior the 21st century has to offer. Now, the first problem with Flynn is in his name. His nickname is Fly, and if that isn't the most 90s thing you've ever heard, then I don't know what is. The fact that the 21st century future that is envisioned here has a corporal whose name is Fly is just one of many problems. The books begin much like the games with Knee Deep in the Dead, which is a really loose retelling of the first episodes of Doom, where monsters invade Phobos and you as a lone marine have to go in with a shotgun and sort them out. Except here, it's monsters invade and we have to listen to Flynn Taggart's inner thoughts, which are rambling and mostly incoherent. The writer tries to build character by having Flynn constantly ask questions about what's going on, but by doing that, he doesn't actually build any atmosphere. Instead, what we're left with is loose descriptions of what's going on. As someone who's played the games, I know exactly what's happening. I know the environment they're in. But for someone who hasn't, you'll have no idea what's happening. To give an example of what I mean, the book starts with a bunch of jargon about a fictional war happening in the universe. We're not given much of a description of it, just some random words thrown together in the first paragraph. It's really confusing because you immediately go in and you have no idea what's going on. But then we get a description of a battlefield filled with a bunch of dismembered corpses. This is supposed to be a scary moment. This is supposed to be a place where we're introduced to the gore and horror that is to come. But instead of that, what we get is a loose description of corpses littering the ground, and that's about it. No building tension, no describing the battlefield in great detail, no describing the smell of blood on the sand. All we get is that loose description, and it just leaves everything feeling thin. And the whole book is like this. He doesn't really take any lengths to describe what's going on in the environment. We get brief glimpses of flickering lights or the smell of what demons and zombies emit, but that's about it. And it's not very good at all because Doom is brilliant at building atmosphere. The original was monumental when it came out because it actually gave players an atmosphere, something that scared the shit out of them, which, although quaint by today's standards, was revolutionary for the time. And to not have that atmosphere in the book is just friggin' criminal. And then we get to the other problem, which is Arlene. Now, the writer obviously wanted to make a badass action chick, so that Flynn isn't the only character. And I quite like that idea, the fact that we have other characters to follow. But Arlene just isn't introduced very well. She's your stock female action archetype of the 90s. But she likes sci-fi movies. How quirky. And the thing about Arlene is that it becomes Flynn's only mission to save her. His inner monologue is all about how much he doesn't love her, but he does love her. And he's going back and forth in his head about this while fighting zombies. And the thing is, as a reader, you don't really care. You just want more zombie fighting. Also, one thing that irked me a lot about the first book was as soon as Flynn gets the shotgun, he loses it again. And if you did that in the game, well, you'd have to lose the entire game. That's not to say the first book doesn't have its merits. It certainly does. It's a light bit of entertainment, something to read when you're not feeling like putting in much thought. The same can be said of the sequel, Hell on Earth. Another light, short, little fun action read with, I'm afraid, switching perspectives but keeping first-person narrative going. I hate it when writers do this. It just annoys the hell out of me because it can get confusing when you have multiple characters and all of them are saying I in the book. I also find the writing incredibly stilted. The dialogue, when it is there, is also terrible. So what we're left with is a thin, fun, little pulpy adventure. That's the first two books. The third and fourth take a different turn. Now, I don't have the third in physical form, but I do have the fourth. Infernal is the third, and Endgame is the fourth. And this is where things really start to go downhill. The bugbears from the first ones haven't gone away. We still have really thin writing that's in need of an edit. We still have inner monologues that go on and on and on. But it doesn't stop there. The fun demon killing that Doom is known for tries to take a more serious, hard sci-fi bent, and as a result, spirals into insanity. We're introduced to several different alien races, genetic mutations, and meta humor that just doesn't fit. Flynn and Arlene end up going into a computer simulation of the first two books. In essence, they're playing the video game Doom in the book. And this doesn't make any sense from a narrative standpoint. What started out as fairly straightforward, cheesy sci-fi has just taken a step into the insane. Now I get what the writer was trying to do. Doom has almost no plot. Even the more recent games have a very thin veneer that's supposed to act as a story. But I don't think he should have taken it in this direction. And if he has, I think he should have been a better writer. Because as you read, you find yourself asking, rather fittingly, one might say, what the hell is going on? Why the hell are Flynn and Arlene playing a video game? Why are they playing Doom in the Doom books? Why the heck is id Software in the Doom books? And why is there an alien race evolving so fast that they evolve themselves out of existence? Nothing makes any fucking sense. And that's the worst part about it. And the thing is, it could work, maybe as a so bad it's good sort of thing, but the writing hasn't improved. The characters don't get better. And I'm no more enamored with Fly than I was when I started the first book. In video games, Doom is an institution. Doom is the bedrock, the alpha and the omega of first-person shooters. And now that Doom Eternal is out, fuck yeah, it's time to rip and tear. But in other forms of media, Doom is terrible. If does anybody remember the 2005 Doom movie with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or the 2019 Doom Annihilation, both of which were thin as hell, but at least The Rock's version was stupidly fun towards the end. The Doom books are about the same. They're kind of crappy, and as they go towards the end of their galaxy-spanning adventure, they just get worse and worse. And that's the thing. Why the hell can't anyone do Doom outside of the video games? I think because the thing that's quintessential to Doom is the rip and tear part. You want to be in control of the Doomslayer or Doom Guy. You want to be the one taking down the demons. You want to be the one shoving the cyber demon's own cannon up his bum and pulling the trigger so his head explodes. You don't want to read about people doing it, and you don't want to watch people doing it. Because trying to bring the visceral action of Doom, the video game, to any other form of media, where the reader or watcher is just forced to sit there and do nothing, completely misses the point. Now, Doom Eternal I haven't played yet, but I'm assuming it's better than 2016's Doom. I have it preloaded on my computer, and as soon as I'm done here, I'm going to rip and tear. And I'd suggest you do the same. Leave the Doom books in the past, because sadly, they're just not worth reading now, especially with a protagonist who's not as fly as he thinks he is.